Hello friends. Today, we will examine the topic of 10 worst disasters that can happen to us if we don't use our wisdom, from a Stoic perspective. Stoicism is the philosophy of coping with the challenges of life and achieving inner serenity through reason. However, there are also negative consequences when we don't use our reason. In this video, we will look at the worst-case scenarios when we don't use our thoughts effectively. In order not to get lost in the complex nature of life and to make the right decisions, we need to understand the importance of the power of the mind. Have you ever wondered what would happen if we stop using our minds? What are the worst things that can happen to us if we neglect what makes us human, our ability to think and reason? Imagine a world where every decision you make is dictated by someone else's agenda, where your progress in life is halted by invisible obstacles and your potential remains just a dream. This is not a dystopian fantasy. This is the reality we face if we don't use the power of our minds. In this video, we explore 10 potential disasters that can occur when we neglect the power of our mind. We will also discuss how Stoic principles can help us avoid these disasters and maintain harmony in our lives. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon. That way you won't miss any of my future videos. If you are ready, let's start now. You are open to manipulation. The mind is a powerful shield against the storms of the world, but an unprotected mind is an easily breached fortress. Without the vigilance of critical thinking, we run the risk of falling victim to the cunning traps of misinformation and the lure of manipulation. Every day we are bombarded with claims, each painted in the colors of truth. But beneath the surface are half-truths designed to influence our opinions and exploit our weaknesses. Distortions and outright lies are hidden. If we do not consciously filter this flood of information, we risk being swept upstream. We may pour our resources into dubious schemes that promise immeasurable riches, only to see our hopes evaporate. It can base our life choices on rumors and unsubstantiated claims. This can lead us down paths we never intended to tread. Worse still, we may find our worldview, our sense of compassion and tolerance eroded by the constant drip of prejudice and propaganda masquerading as truth. The Stoics understood that outside voices will always try to exert power over us. This is the nature of the world. To strengthen our souls, we must learn to question what we hear, to evaluate evidence, and to separate the wheat of truth from the chaff of manipulation. This is not an act of cynicism, but of self-preservation. A skeptical mind does not shut itself off from the world. It only demands better evidence. It approaches new information with neither sudden acceptance nor stubborn rejection, but with calm, rational questioning. When we develop this skill, we strengthen our inner fortress. We take back control of our thoughts, actions, and ultimately our destiny. This is a difficult task and requires constant vigilance. But the reward is the freedom of a self-directed life. Stagnation and lack of progress. The human mind is an extraordinary golem, a living sculpture that can be shaped and molded throughout our lives. However, it can be blinded like an unused muscle, and if we choose the path of stagnation and neglect to challenge and expand our horizons, we run the risk of extinguishing the fire of potential within us. We become prisoners of our own past, trapped in a cycle of familiar responses and outdated solutions. A still mind is like a calm pond. Its surface is unbroken and its depths unexplored. There is an appearance of comfort in this familiarity, but it is deceptive. Without growth, we fail to see the world with fresh eyes. Old problems take on insurmountable weight as we blindly repeat the same tired tactics while running on autopilot. Opportunities for innovation are opportunities for both personal and major breakthroughs. Passing us by like ships lost in the fog, the Stoics knew that progress is not a destination but an ongoing journey. They recognized that struggle and even discomfort ignite the forge where growth is achieved. An agile mind that can adapt to changing landscapes holds the key to endurance and a life well lived. It is a mind that does not run away from new problems, but rather engages with them, examining and reimagining solutions. To be complacent is to condemn ourselves to the slow fading of our potential. Our experiences begin to blend together, colored by the gray of repetition, from the excitement of discovering ourselves. We deprive ourselves of the sense of accomplishment that comes from overcoming Syria. In its place, let us embrace the beautiful discomfort of learning, of daring into the unknown. When we face our mental limits and move beyond them, we expand not only our knowledge but also our sense of self. Every new skill mastered, every puzzle solved strengthens our faith in our ability to meet life's challenges with creativity and an unwavering spirit. This is a gift of the active mind and worth pursuing. 3. You make poor decisions. Imagine building a house on a foundation of loose sand. It may seem solid at first, but without a solid foundation, it is bound to collapse. Our lives are also built on countless decisions we make. When our judgment becomes clouded, when we act without the compass of reason, we create fault lines that jeopardize our happiness, security, and future. Bad decisions born out of impulsivity or insufficient information stop. Gun is like stones thrown into a pond. They leave ripples that extend far beyond the initial splash. The consequences extend to our relationships, our finances, and even our physical and mental health. A hastily spoken word can tear away loved ones by shattering delicate bonds of trust. An ill-considered investment can evaporate hard-earned savings, creating a long shadow of financial insecurity. A single reckless act can ruin our health. It can force us to carry the burden of pain and regret. The ancient Stoics advocated clarity of thought, the ability to discern the true nature of things. We gain a tremendous advantage when we make decisions with calm reasoning. Instead of diving headlong into a storm, we become a skilled sailor charting a steady course through troubled waters. We evaluate information, weigh options, and act with purpose. This does not mean we avoid risk altogether. Sometimes the boldest choices, well thought out and made with an open heart, lead to great fulfillment. The key lies in the distinction between blind recklessness and calculated determination. Every action carries a potential repercussion for the future. It is our responsibility to reflect on these repercussions rather than blindly diving into unforeseen consequences. Decision-making is an art that we must cultivate with unwavering dedication. When we develop the ability to distinguish right from wrong, when we act with intention and own both successes and missteps, we lay the bricks for a life of resilience and inner peace. The journey may not always be smooth, but a mind guided by reason becomes the most reliable map in the unpredictable landscape of our existence. For deterioration of mental health. Our inner world is a vast and complex terrain. Left uncared for, negativity can become a desert where its shadows grow uncontrollably. Boredom withers our sense of joy like a relentless drought. Rumination swirls like a hurricane, trapping us in cycles of obsessive thinking. Without the resilience built through mental exercise, we become more vulnerable to the storms of anxiety and the crushing weight of depression. The mind is meant to be a tool of exploration and curiosity. But when it lies dormant, it becomes an echo chamber for our darkest fears and insecurities. Negative thought patterns gain strength with each repetition, creating deep holes in our psyche that are hard to escape. We can find ourselves mired in past mistakes, paralyzed by visions of a bleak future, or consumed by self-doubt. It is like sinking slowly into quicksand. The Stoics recognized the power of the mind over our emotional well-being. They sought to develop inner strength against despair through disciplined contemplation. This does not mean ignoring life's difficulties, but rather approaching them with wisdom and a sense of acceptance. A well-trained mind does not deny negativity but refuses to give in to it. Resilience is built by engaging with the world, exploring challenges, and actively shaping our thinking. When we pursue hobbies, explore new ideas, or practice mindfulness, we give our mind fertile ground for growth. Positive experiences act like sunlight breaking through the clouds and foster a deep sense of well-being that makes it difficult for negativity to take hold. Mental health is not just the absence of suffering, but the cultivation of inner peace. This state of being is not passive or indifferent, but fiercely protective of its own peace. It is a mind that does not allow itself to be carried away by every fleeting thought or emotion, but actively trains itself to focus on the present moment and the possibilities within it. The path may not be easy, but the rewards of a resilient spirit are immeasurable. 5. Loss of identity and purpose. At our core, we all seek a sense of belonging, a purpose to guide us through the inevitable chaos of life. This search for identity and meaning is an essential part of the human experience. But if we withdraw from the world, if we stop questioning and thinking, we risk losing our way. Without a compass to guide us and stars to illuminate our path, we drift in an ocean of disconnection. Imagine a magnificent oak tree with its roots buried deep in the ground. Without these roots, it withers and falls under its own weight. In the same way, a meaningful life needs to be firmly rooted in a sense of self. When we neglect to face ourselves, we lose sight of our values, our passions, and the unique essence that makes us who we are. The world becomes blurred and our actions lack meaningful direction. The Stoics believed in the importance of living in accordance with our nature. This requires a deep understanding of what we really stand for and what sparks the fire within us. It means taking the time to examine our choices, question our beliefs, and be honest with ourselves about what truly fulfills us. There is the loss of one's purpose. It is like a ship sailing without a point of sail. We can stay afloat for some time, pushed and pulled by the whims of external circumstances, but without a real sense of direction or accomplishment. A sense of emptiness takes over, a gnawing feeling that something is missing. As we lose touch with what matters most, our enjoyment of life diminishes. The path to greater self-awareness may not be smooth or straightforward, but it is one of the most transformative journeys we can undertake. When we take the time to look inward, wrestle with difficult questions, and embrace the beauty and complexity of our being, we begin to see the contours of the life we are meant to live. Each step on this path brings clarity, focus, and a quiet sense of rightness, an unwavering awareness that we are exactly where we are meant to be. The Stoics understood that purpose is not found, but rather developed. They encouraged us to live consciously and in harmony with our values. This can mean identifying what gives you a sense of fulfillment and aligning your actions with it. Seek out the challenges that ignite your passion and embrace them as opportunities for growth. Serve others, knowing that contributing to something bigger than yourself fosters deep meaning. Let your inner compass of reason and reflection guide your choices. In doing so, you build a life that is both resilient and purposeful. A life with deep roots that can weather any storm. 6 Unchecked prejudices. Inside each of us lies a labyrinth of unconscious assumptions and beliefs. Shaped by our experiences and the world around us, these biases act as filters through which we perceive reality. While some biases are useful shortcuts created by our brains, others are extremely harmful, containing the insidious seeds of prejudice and discrimination. Left unchecked, they can poison our judgment and they can cause us to injure ourselves and others. Imagine looking at the world through a cracked and tainted lens. Our vision is distorted, causing us to misinterpret what we see and react unfairly. Unchecked prejudices function in the same way, blurring our ability to see people as individuals. And it leads to harmful generalizations and stereotypes. Instead of recognizing someone's true potential, we may reject an opportunity based on their appearance, accent, or background. Unchecked prejudice breeds not only injustice but also division. They create barriers between people, breeding mistrust and fueling the fire of discrimination. These prejudices are born out of ignorance and fear and lead us to make sweeping judgments about entire groups of people. We can find ourselves trapped in a cycle of misunderstanding and resentment, unable to see the common humanity that connects us all. The Stoics taught us to strive for wisdom and to seek truth in all things. This involves the hard work of eliminating the internal prejudices that distort our view of the world. When we introspect, question our assumptions, and seek different perspectives, we gradually begin to break down prejudices. This can be a never-ending task, but it is a task worthy of our constant effort. The reward for this work is twofold: personal. On a personal level, we break down blogs that prevent clear judgment and self-understanding. On a societal level, we become a force for unity and understanding. With every prejudice we forget, we take small steps towards a world where people are judged not by the color of their skin, their gender, or their beliefs, but by the content of their character. Every act of empathy, every open-minded conversation helps create new pathways for connection where once there were only walls. 7 Susceptibility to addictions. Within each of us there is a longing for comfort, connection, and escape from life's challenges. Addiction provides a false and destructive fulfillment of these needs. It is a seductive trap that promises solace but delivers only despair. When we do not develop healthy ways of coping with the stresses of life, when we neglect to find joy and stimulation in ideas and creativity, we become more vulnerable to the siren call of addictive substances and behaviors. A parched plant with roots desperately seeking nourishment. Imagine. Without a source of nourishment, it will turn to anything that promises relief. Even if that relief is ultimately toxic, in the same way a mind that lacks intellectual stimulation and healthy coping mechanisms is easily led astray by the false promises of addiction. Addiction seeks relief in substances that numb pain, in behaviors that provide an artificial sense of control, or in unhealthy attachments that offer the illusion of a temporary connection. It is a ruthless thief. It steals joy, peace, and the potential that lies within each of us, distorting our perception and making us dependent on external sources of approval and temporary solutions. The The Stoics recognized the power of self-mastery and the dangers of seeking satisfaction from temporary heights. They understood that true satisfaction comes from within. When we actively seek challenges and engage our minds, we learn to deal with discomfort in healthy ways. We build resilience, discover our passions, and develop a sense of self-efficacy. These are the nutrients that nourish a vibrant inner life and protect us from the temptations of addictive escapes. It is important to find activities that nourish both body and soul. Physical exercise, creative outlets, learning new skills, connecting with nature, and spending time with loved ones. All these serve as powerful antidotes to the temptations of addiction. They teach us to find pleasure not in fleeting moments of chemical intoxication, but in what is real and lasting. This path may not always be easy, but it leads to a goal worth pursuing. A life governed by reason, purpose, and freedom of self-control. 8 relationship struggles. Love, friendship, and family are among the greatest treasures life has to offer. Our closest relationships provide us with support, laughter, and a sense of belonging in the world. Yet, like a delicate garden, these connections require careful tending in order to flourish. When we neglect this mental effort, communication falters, empathy diminishes, and our ability to manage conflict is weakened. Even the strongest bonds can be subtly frayed and fade over time if not cared for. Imagine 2 ships sailing together. They may seem inseparable, but unless each is skillfully steered and alert to changing currents, they will eventually drift apart. Our relationships are dynamic and require adaptation and open communication. Misunderstandings multiply when we approach them on autopilot. Unintended insults, unaddressed resentments, and unspoken needs become the stones that sink our ship of connection. The Stoics valued reason in all aspects of life, including in the realm of human connection. They understood that empathy is a skill developed through the effort to see the world through the eyes of another. It requires us to step outside our own perspective and actively listen, even when it is difficult. Effective problem-solving requires clear thinking and collaboration. These are not skills we are born with, but skills we develop through practice and intention. Making mental effort in our relationships doesn't just mean understanding the daily logistics. It means making time for conversations too. It means being willing to admit when we are wrong, even if it hurts our pride. It means learning to express our needs with clarity and kindness, and trusting that the other person will hear them. These actions are the water and sunshine that strengthen the roots of our bond. They enable them to weather the storms and provide support for years to come. The relationships that bring true richness to our lives deserve our best efforts. When we have a sharp mind, an open heart, and a willingness to grow together with the people we love, we build bonds that are resilient, life-giving, and a powerful source of joy throughout our lives. 9. Being disconnected. The world is a swirling change, its symphony a dance of constant innovation and a testament to the relentless progress of the human spirit. When we consciously disconnect from it, we run the risk of becoming stagnant islands in the river of time, relics of a bygone era. Isolation creates a widening knowledge gap and makes it much more difficult to understand the evolving world of which we are a part. Imagine a majestic tree that has been uprooted from the earth. It may retain its external shape for a while, but it stops growing and its leaves begin to wither. Similarly, when we disconnect from the evolving world, we stifle our own intellectual and empathetic growth. Ignorance of scientific breakthroughs can prevent us from understanding vital solutions to problems like climate change or disease. Lack of awareness of social movements can blind us to injustice and the evolving moral landscape of our time. Disconnection breeds dangerous apathy. Without awareness and understanding, we lose a sense of our own agency to contribute and make a difference. This can lead to cynicism and resentment rather than participation. We can retreat into self-protective echo chambers and lose the ability to have healthy, nuanced conversations about important issues. The tapestry of humanity is woven with the threads of countless cultures and experiences. When we turn our backs on these threads, we lose the richness of perspective and understanding they bring. The Stoics valued lifelong learning and understood that true wisdom requires engaging with evolving ideas and challenging our own assumptions. They sought to understand the nature of the world and their place in it. This is not a finite task, but an ongoing process. Every technological advance, every scientific discovery, every social movement is an opportunity to expand our minds and broaden our understanding of human potential. Knowledge is not just the accumulation of facts. It is about fostering an active, curious mind that enjoys the pursuit of knowledge. It is about developing an empathy that extends beyond our own immediate environment, the relevant homeland of the world. It needs ask-care innovators, solvers, and compassionate voices, all roles that are impossible to fulfill when plucked from the pulse of progress. 10. Unrealized potential. Imagine a field full of dormant seeds overflowing with the potential for breathtaking blossoming flowers. But without light and water and a caring hand, these seeds remain locked in their unrealized state. Within each of us lies a similar potential waiting to be planted. This is the valley of who we can be, of the unique gifts we have to share with the world. When we allow our minds to stagnate, we risk this potential withering on the vine, leaving us with a lingering sense of what could have been. The Stoics believed that there is a divine spark in everyone, a driving force that leads us to fulfill our inner prayer. This can manifest as an artist's brushstroke, an entrepreneur's vision, a teacher's wisdom, or a parent's unconditional love. Our purpose is not always clear. It must be sought with tireless determination. This search itself is where its deep meaning is formed. Every act of creation, every problem solved, every act of sincere service arises from a mind that exercises and challenges. It all starts with a question asked fearlessly with a curiosity that is indulged in the smallest step. True potential is not just about achieving fame or fortune, but about aligning with who we really are and using it to make the world a little bit better, a little bit brighter. It takes courage to make our unique mark on the world. And it takes endurance. It means being willing to stumble and learn along the way. The mind, like a muscle, grows stronger with each challenge it faces. As we overcome limitations and expand our horizons, we open up possibilities we didn't think we were capable of. The tragedy of unrealized potential is not just personal. Our world desperately needs the solutions we have to contribute and the compassion we can show. Leaving our gifts unwrapped diminishes us and everyone we can touch. The human spirit has incredible power. When we invest in our minds, when we refuse to settle for an ordinary existence, we create a ripple effect that can change lives and perhaps even the course of history. We have navigated the dangerous waters of mental traps and discovered the Stoic lighthouse that leads us to safer shores. Remember, the mind is your most powerful ally. Use it wisely. Thank you for joining this journey of self-discovery. Like and share if you found this journey enlightening. Subscribe and stay tuned for more Stoic wisdom. Stoics know that the journey of self-discovery never ends. But they also knew that with each step we become stronger, more resilient, and more in control of our own happiness. Have these ideas influenced you? Did they challenge your way of thinking? Let's keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts and discoveries in the comments below. We have come to the end of another wisdom. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Until we meet in the next videos, be stoic and stay strong.